This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Good morning, I'm Scott Sander. Welcome to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Wish TV's focus is on family and community and the commitment to the development of programs like this one, fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion. We speak directly to entrepreneurs and small business owners to provide useful, necessary information about starting and running a successful small business. Each week we hear from local business owners, educators, community leaders who've, if you will, been there and done that. They offer timely, accurate advice to help you as you start and develop your business. We present 7 segments every week designed to cover the important topics that a small business is certain to encounter. We tackle getting your business started, how to access capital. We look at this week in business, accounting and bookkeeping tips, thoughts on running your business day to day. We focus on an industry you may work in or work with, and we wrap it up with a success story. We're here every Sunday morning at 10 on Wish TV, or you can watch us live on wishtv.com through a stream. You can access some of our content and share it on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter. We update it with something new every Tuesday. And be certain to check out our podcast. Listen and subscribe so you won't miss a minute. Coming up today on Business, Equity, and Opportunities. We meet a politician turned food truck owner who accessed his capital the new fashioned way through Kickstarter. The Indy Chamber says the key to accounting and bookkeeping is knowing your numbers. And Eli Lilly and Company makes a commitment to racial justice in our Running Your Business segment. Let's get down to business the way we do each week, by getting started.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
Lori Taylor is the founder and CEO of the Produce Moms, a multi-platform community on a mission to get more fruits and vegetables onto America's tables. Lori turned a grassroots effort into a global movement, and it all started with a good idea.
So the Produce Moms started in 2012 as a very basic WordPress blog. As a matter of fact, it was a free template, and when it launched, it was called The Produce Mom. In 2017, when the world was just changing to be more community-centric, especially the digital world, that's when we did the rebrand to The Produce Moms. And this all started, really, it was a result of me sitting in a cubicle at Indianapolis Fruit Company selling fruits and vegetables, realizing as I was raising my children that I was just being inundated with questions from my personal circle asking me about my professional life. How do you select, store, and serve more fruits and vegetables? So a fun fact that a lot of people don't necessarily realize is the Produce Moms began as my work for hire. It was something that I pitched to my former bosses. That was really one of the first times I had that entrepreneurial spirit. As an employee, I pitched the idea of this blog in 2012. They supported at the highest level. For 3 years, we built it together. And then in 2015, ultimately, my former employer said that they were done with it, and they offered me an acquisition opportunity. So in 2015, that is when I took my entrepreneurial leap, and I paid more for my idea and all my hard work than I did the home my family and I live in. So, I really felt strongly, even in 2012, that the way people, and just this was very anecdotal, the way I was consuming information as a millennial mom, the way that I was being influenced for my purchasing decisions as, as a middle-class shopper, really in every sector of grocery retail or just general retail and consumer products. I really felt strongly that the future of of marketing and influencing people was really all online. It started with blogs, obviously then social media. I remember the day Instagram started, and I was like, I gotta get my business on there, So I feel like my business has grown up with social media. In 2012 when we launched, that was still the era when you had to be invited to Pinterest. Facebook was not necessarily something that everyone had. TikTok didn't exist, so it's definitely a journey. The inspiration behind starting this entire journey and what has grown into a global community, an absolute catalyst and force for farmers in North, Central, and South America to tell their story. It really was very grassroots. Indiana was a huge part of it. Well, first, I would tell any entrepreneur, it is scary. You know, that emotion is totally okay. That emotion is actually a positive thing. You do want to have that nervousness or feel a little intimidated, but if you aren't taking the big, bold moves, the moves that most people don't have the guts to take, you will never be able to make these, earth-shattering, ceiling-shattering dreams come true. Every entrepreneurial journey starts with one big, bold move. You know, we have been so blessed. We're seeing amazing growth on our website, which still today, that's where this whole thing started in 2012 with one blog. TheProduceMoms.com still today is what we consider our home. In addition to an enhanced website, a broader community, a growing community. Each and every day, we're bringing more people to our website and introducing them to our content. But beyond that, we've launched consumer products now, so my business has evolved. The community and the values that we stand for at the Produce Moms have become so attractive to other brands, other fruit and vegetable brands, where they're actually putting my brand on their packages. So we have an Idaho potato line, for instance. These potatoes are grown by Wada Farms, truly the best potato growers in the world. And the Produce Moms Idaho potatoes are available now coast to coast at Walmart stores. So that's a huge, exciting evolution of the Produce Moms as a brand. We also have an on-package licensing relationship with Crunch Pack, America's #1 sliced apple, and Applewood Fresh, which is one of the Midwest's best and largest apple growers. So we look forward to expanding, our consumer products. Maybe, here's a hint, maybe doing our first deal outside of the produce department. And then, here in 2023, we're really excited because Amazon Alexa has invited creators from around the world to be part of their kitchen content, and the Produce Moms was one of 100 that was invited. So when you're at home cooking in your kitchen, and if you have an Alexa device, you can say, Alexa, I need a pomegranate recipe, and there's a real good chance that the Produce Moms will show up to help you out.
Getting started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
If you'd like more thoughts or information about getting your business started or any of today's topics, visit our website. It's BEOshow.com. If you have questions or you'd like to be part of our work here at BE&O, please email us, beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. When we return, how a local pastry chef raised bread to start his food truck. That and more after we do some business. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunities. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. There are many ways to gain access to capital: banks, investment firms, maybe family. In the computer age, you can also find seed money by reaching out to your potential customers through Kickstarter.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to capital. AJ Feeney-Ruiz describes himself as a recovering politician. He's also a hiker, a kung fu master, a father, and a graduate of Le Cordon Bleu in Paris, specializing in breads. He took all that experience and launched a food truck in his hometown, Indianapolis, in the middle of a pandemic.
So we did a Kickstarter campaign in the summer, sort of the end of the summer of 2020. So if you remember, everything opened back up and then quickly shut back down. This is right when the world was shutting back down, essentially. So we were really at the height of a pandemic at that point, and people started to freak out, oh, this is going to go the distance, we're really in some trouble. So over 400 people from all over the world, the majority of which I actually do not know, gave to the Kickstarter campaign, starting with our friends and family. So you can see my mom is the first person. She gave a substantial amount, and then my uncle, and then my cousin, and then my best friend, my brother. And then it just kind of goes through. A lot of folks from high school that I hadn't spoken to in a long time came out and helped me make food or helped contribute to the truck. Friends from college, friends from my travels overseas, friends from boarding school, friends from, like I said, high school, elementary, middle school, every walk of life, college. There ended up being a bit of a competition between some of my fraternity brothers from DePaul University of who could sort of up the next one, and that was great as well. We offered rewards as well. So a lot of these folks had private lessons for macarons, which we did in person or by Skype or Zoom. We are probably a third of the way through the rewards. We still have all the low dollar rewards that we're still going to be doing, which we're hoping to start in January of this year. It's been a whole thing to work out the technology and work out the best way to make that work. But we've got, I don't know, maybe 100 people on this side of the truck. The other side has another 300 plus people, which I'm happy to show you as well. But really, these are the folks who came through. And honestly, it wasn't my idea to do the Kickstarter. It wasn't my idea to buy a food truck. This all came from other people. And so I just kind of went with it. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know that we were going to get fully funded, but these folks came through. And a lot of them were financial folks, but a lot of them were people who just really helped get things off the ground, whether they were with me at 6 in the morning frying donuts or whatever. A lot of these folks came through. Kickstarter is for creative enterprises. That's their whole thing. So you don't go onto Kickstarter and ask for money if you broke your leg, and there are other things for that stuff. Kickstarter is you have something artistic or a game that you've created or a product that's kind of really out there in next generation. Creative endeavors. Food is one of those. Had I known at the time that less than 1% of food truck Kickstarters actually get fully funded, probably would have gone a different direction or taken a little more time to get things started. But like once you get it started, that's it. So I spent essentially an afternoon trying to create rewards and just give an idea of what we were trying to do, write up the verbiage. And fortunately I come from a background in marketing, political marketing, and then some private sector stuff that I did on the business consulting side. But just try to use all of the experience that I had developed over 20 years in my previous life that could carry over to this. And essentially, it's a campaign. So, I mean, I've been running campaigns since I was 18 was the first campaign that I ran. It just happens to be a campaign for getting enough money to buy a truck, and then you just incentivize people to contribute to it. So I wasn't required to do a video, but we definitely have to upload the images, and you have to have specific information up there. You have to talk about what the challenges are going to be, give people a realistic idea of if they're going to have rewards, when those are going to be fulfilled. So that was it. So tried to create the best opportunities that I could to encourage people to give, and then just again made a full-time job of it and reached out. But yeah, Kickstarter definitely has their requirements. I don't think it's an astronomical threshold to overcome, but it is. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and like I said, you have to take it seriously. I think during that time, I was approached by probably a half dozen other people who were interested in doing Kickstarter campaigns, and I told the same thing to all of them. Just like, you really have to, be serious about it, and you have to make sure that you have the client. Like, we had. I don't even think we had 1,000 followers on Instagram at the time, and that was our biggest way of drumming up business, and this still continues to be our primary marketing tool. We've done a lot more on Facebook now, and that really grown that community. But social media, that was it. And so I would just post updates, and one of the things you learned is people like to know that their money is making a difference. So we would just constantly update, hey, we're this much closer to the goal, we did these things, highlight the different rewards that we were offering, and then you, again, do the work. You got to call. You can't just like put it up there and expect it to be done. You have to call everybody. You have to ask. Same in politics. if you can't ask your friends and family for help, then you probably shouldn't be running for office. And the same thing if you're trying to get a business going, do that. And of course, during a global pandemic, all these people came through in amazing ways. A lot of folks who were having trouble not working and whatnot as well. So, and a lot of people, some people gave as little as $1, but I mean, every bit helps. Absolutely.
If you'd like more information about the BB&B Bread Truck or about Kickstarter, visit us online at BEOshow.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter for more resources. Next, a look at what's happening this week in business. Then later, get to know your numbers in our accounting and bookkeeping segment. Business Equity and Opportunities returns right after this break. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities, and time for our look at this week in business. Teachers Credit Union, based in South Bend, has a new president and chief executive officer. He started his career in Georgia 17 years ago and comes to Indiana most recently from Texas.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. This week in business.
This week, the U.S. Small Business Administration reports that Indiana has hit a record in regards to small business lending. The SBA approved 1,335 loans for small businesses in the state, reporting more than $650 million directly to entrepreneurs and supporting more than $925 million used to start, grow, and expand. Laura Schafsnitz is a public affairs specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration. She explained why this is so significant.
It was an amazing year for us funding-wise to help entrepreneurs in Indiana. It was amazing in that we were able to increase the dollar amount of funding that we were able to give entrepreneurs access to for their small businesses to help them start, grow, expand, and recover during FY22. And we were able to provide 1,335 loans to small business owners just here in the state of Indiana. And we actually increased the amount of money that we were able to help small businesses gain access to by 32% this year, which is absolutely amazing. And we couldn't have done that without the help of our SBA preferred lenders. And they're the ones who, they work with the clients, they approve the loans, and they take care of the whole process of getting a small business loan. What SBA does is we guarantee that loan, federally guarantee that loan, which is a win-win for both small business owners as well as for lenders because it mitigates risk on both sides of the fence. The reason for the Small Business Administration, we started out in 1953. We're a federal agency, and our mission then, our mission now, and our mission hopefully forevermore is literally just to help small businesses. Almost 99% of the businesses located in the United States are considered small. In the state of Indiana, that number is over 99%. So it's not just the moms and pops, but they're a huge part of it. These are the engines of our economy. Small businesses in Indiana, that over 99% of the businesses in Indiana employ almost 50% of the people who get up and go to work every single day just in the state of Indiana. So we are a huge impact. So what the SBA is doing, we have several programs at the federal level. We also have our SBA equity plan to help open the doors and increase levels of equity and diversity to allow those smaller than small, or the folks who maybe haven't had access before, be able to be comfortable and be able to access the resources that are available through the Small Business Administration, we have what are called resource partners in each of the states. Here in the state of Indiana, we have our Small Business Development Centers, we have our Women's Business Centers, we have our SCORE chapters. And what SBA does is we provide them either all or a part of their funding to be able to provide one-on-one counseling and mentorship to small business owners for the life of their business. So whether you just are starting out, you have an idea in your head and you haven't written it down, or you've been in business for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you're looking to pass your business down to the next generation, or you're looking to retire, we can help with the succession planning. Our small business counselors, they can help with all of that. And what's great about the resource partners, because they're local, they're going to be able to give you information not just on what's available at the federal level, but any of the opportunities that are available at the state or the local level. They might have a grant that has come available that they're able to talk to a small business owner and say, hey, I know you're looking for funding. Let's look at all of our different avenues. They help to open those opportunities by being able to provide the tools and the resources to help small businesses grow. So through a resource partner, let's say a small business owner, they're working with one of our resource partners, whether it be here in Indianapolis or throughout the state. And they say, okay, well, let's look at our options for funding. You can go to a traditional bank. They're not going to give you all the funding that you need. But let's couple that with an SBA guaranteed loan. So that increases the amount of money that has just become available to you. And as a resource partner who's right there in their neighborhood, they can say, oh, by the way, there's this facade grant that's coming out from this organization that you're eligible for. So let's put that on top of that pot of money that we're trying to access for you and we're trying to give you access to. So that just broadens the amount of money that's available for a small business. The thing that puts a smile on my face is when I see a small business owner succeed. When I see a small business owner who is awarded our Small Business Person of the Year for the state of Indiana. When I see one of our small business owners awarded Exporter of the Year for the state of Indiana, an Exporter of the Year for the Great Lakes region, and placing in the top 5 of Exporters of the Year for the entire nation. That is so exciting to see, and to be able to read their stories and tell their stories of how I wouldn't have been able to do this without using this resource, and this resources. And I wasn't able to do that without the help of the SBA. We are one of those best kept secrets in the nation, but we are here to open doors for small business and make sure that they receive the products, the services, and the help they need, where they need it, when they need it, in order to achieve their small business dreams.
If you want more business equity and opportunities, check out our podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. You can subscribe through the link on our website, which is BEOshow.com. While you're there, sign up for the Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to stay up to date on the latest resources to help your small business grow. When we come back, our accounting and bookkeeping segment takes some of the mystery out of loans. We'll be right back. I'm Scott Sanders. Thanks for watching this encore presentation of Business Equity and Opportunities. We hope you've learned some tips that'll help you start or grow your own business. If you'd like to catch up on past episodes or segments, watch us here every weekday or visit us at BEOshow.com. And don't forget, new episodes of Business Equity and Opportunities air every Sunday morning on Wish TV, or you can stream it live at wishtv.com. Fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Watch Business Equity and Opportunities from Wish TV. Thanks again for being part of Business Equity and Opportunities. It is time for accounting and bookkeeping. Today we hear from a woman who knows well the expectations of both sides of a business loan.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Kia Walker is Director of Lending for the Indy Chamber. She helps new business owners understand the importance of keeping accounts in order, offering through help and education opportunities to drive your success.
So my role here at Indy Chamber, I'm the Senior Director of Lending. So what I do in my role is I provide small business financial needs to clients that have challenging barriers, such as training and coaching and access to capital for those clients that can't get traditional financing needs through a bank. So the challenging barriers that my clients experience, that they may have credit issues, more so with challenging credit with low credit scores, they may be overextended in debt, and or the other barriers, they may not have any collateral, such as they don't understand what collateral is or what they can really pledge. So if there is a marketing firm, they will tell me they don't have any collateral, but they do have collateral because they may have equipment, they may have the inventory that's in their office. That's what they can use as collaterals. Those are challenging barriers where the bank, they want you to have one-to-one coverage. Here at BOI, we're a little bit more lenient on collateral that really can help our clients. Business Ownership Initiative is the CDFI. CDFI meaning which is a community development financial institution. The difference between a CDFI and a bank, a community development financial institution are able to do more riskier loans. More so is how I like to identify with our clients is we say when the bank tells you no, we try to tell you yes. And that is because more so our underwriting guidelines is based on a narrative-based underwriting that comes from the 5 C's of credit, such as credit, collateral, capacity, character, and commitment. And that's how we underwrite. So from a CDFI side, those are the parameters that we use. More so on a more traditional banking side, that is more traditional bank loans. We have creative underwritings where we can do more riskier loans. How we mitigate our risk are, we provide training and coaching to that client that can actually be a risk mitigate to where we can help them with their business and help their business scale and grow. The great importance of accounting and bookkeeping is really understanding your cash position. If you do not understand your cash position, then how can I understand a cash position to help you? I really want to help you scale and grow your business. So the importance of having an accountant, right? We all know accountants are very expensive. If you can't afford an accountant, we need a bookkeeper. We need somebody to look over your financials, your revenue, your expenses, your cost of goods, everything, and really understand that it's being documented properly so we can understand the true capability of your business is financially sound. I would say understanding the profit and loss and balance sheet and what the importance is it is. That is like the sound backing of your business. You need to understand a financial position. If you're unable to understand where QuickBooks, there's other different accounting systems that you can do, HoneyBook or any of those. But here at BOI, we actually teach that on our training side, where we actually can sit down with a client and go over their cash management tool, that is something that we're proud of. We really want clients to really understand what those pain points are, understand how to scale and grow their business. So here at BOI, we teach cash management tools. That's the basic start of financials. In terms of the world, it is your 12 to 24 months projections. How to get in touch with us here at Indy Chamber Entrepreneur Service Division is indychamber.com/entrepreneurship. It is easy. Come and see me.
There you go.
If you'd like to know more about the topic of accounting and bookkeeping or need information about any of today's segments, visit our website. It is BEOshow.com. Sign up, as we've said before, to the Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to find out more about resources in our community that can help you. If you know of a small business that we can help, please have them tune in every Sunday morning at 10 and recommend that they check us out on demand anytime at BEOshow.com. Still to come on Business Equity and Opportunities, Eli Lilly and Company has made a commitment to racial justice. They'll take us from pledge to progress next in running your business day to day when Business Equity and Opportunities returns. This is Business Equity and Opportunities. The focus on racial justice that emerged from the events of 2020 gave momentum to efforts from corporations to support and advance equity in their communities. It also encouraged businesses, large and small, to revisit their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts and how they run their business day to day.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
In 2020, Eli Lilly and Company launched a racial justice commitment, a 5-year plan focusing on improving the education, health, professional, and social mobility outcomes for communities of color by creating a workplace ecosystem of equity. Last week at a Pledge for Progress event, the company announced milestones it has reached since that launch, including the spending with the black business enterprises in the area.
I am the Associate Vice President of Racial Justice, and back in 2020, when Lilly, along with many other major companies, leaned into the opportunity to intentionally address racial equity, Lilly made commitments, but it also applied leadership and governance in a way that gave us the ability to be clear about the goal and then track progress against that. I was fortunate to be named as the leader for racial justice for Lilly and have worked with a great group of leaders aimed at outcomes focused on racial justice. So we made a 5-year commitment with the intention of being clear. This isn't a one and done. We also declared 5 areas of focus: people development, jobs, health equity, social impact, and diversity partners, with intentional pledges relative to each of those areas over this time horizon. There's some things that we declared to be done in a shorter time horizon, and we've done those. And there's some things that take a longer window to actually mature and then enable the outcomes. And so we're, in some cases, on that journey as we speak. One of the recent milestones that we've reached is our employee engagement. We made a commitment to enable 25,000 volunteer hours in the name of racial justice causes. Here about a week ago, we actually hit a milestone. 31,000 hours focused on racial justice causes here in the Indianapolis area. We also committed to double our spend with black business enterprises by 2020. Well, we actually did that as well. We went from $143 million to $358 million, almost tripling our spend with black business enterprises over that time horizon. Our business is about making lives better, and we certainly have emphasized inclusion as how we do business, and having partners who are seeking to help us to create solutions, who bring that to the table, is how we get better solutions faster. So we want to have businesses who are in the community helping us to drive outcomes for Eli Lilly and Company and the patients that we serve. There is some way to contribute in this inclusion, in this equity journey. We recognize our wherewithal is more than what many, so hold us accountable for that measure of outcome. But for smaller shops, we encourage you to pick a spot. If it's choosing a vendor or enabling more jobs for underrepresented minorities that's relative to your wherewithal, that is your call, if it's within your wherewithal. And that's what we've been encouraging. Certainly hold us accountable for a measure of progress relative to our ability, and that's what our Pledge to Progress event here recently was all about, showing back the progress that we've made across the areas that we pursued and encouraging others to do the same. One of the areas that we declared impact in is jobs. We joined an organization called 110, focused on enabling more family-sustaining jobs for Black Americans without a 4-year degree. At Lilly, we've actually built a program called Skills First at Lilly, which has a similar goal, but a wider aperture, which is focused on enabling more family-sustaining jobs for Black Americans and other historically marginalized communities who don't have a 4-year degree. To enable that, we've launched 3 programs. Our Craft Pathway Learn and Earn program, our Lilly Professional Apprenticeship program, and our newest program, our Technical Pathway program. A variety of jobs across many functions at Lilly aimed at enabling more good jobs here at Eli Lilly and Company. I think we're fortunate in Central Indiana that many companies have leaned in this quest for a more equitable ecosystem in Indianapolis. And sometimes it's a daunting task to, well, where do I start? So I mentioned earlier picking a spot. I would also encourage that don't seek perfection. Allow for the learnings and the continuous improvement mindset that should come with a novel body of work. That's what we apply in the business of making medicines. We certainly have applied that in the context of creating more equitable opportunities as well.
If you'd like more information about the Running Your Business Day-to-Day segment or any part of today's show, check out our website at SBA-approved.com. Up next, it is our industry focus. You're watching Business Equity and Opportunities. Now, watch these messages. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Indiana is one of the fastest growing states for business, and we have a variety of industries that make our area home. We look into one of those in today's Industry Focus.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Teachers Credit Union, based in South Bend, has a new president and chief executive officer. Jason Osterhage started his career in Georgia 17 years ago and comes to Indiana most recently from Texas. Took a moment to get his thoughts on how well small business is doing from a banking perspective.
I became CEO of Teachers Credit Union in March of this year. Before that, I spent about 17 years in cooperative banking, Chicago area and Atlanta, Georgia mainly. Teachers Credit Union is the largest credit union headquartered here in Indiana. We've been around for 91 years. I'm really excited about the financial climate here in Indiana. I think Indiana is a very pro-business environment, and I like all of the support that businesses have in Indiana. And I also am really excited about the future of business in the Midwest. I think the Midwest is going to do better over the next 20 or 30 years than it has over the past 20 or 30 years. So credit unions are federally insured financial institutions, much like banks. Your deposits are insured by the federal government, but credit unions are not-for-profit customer-owned cooperatives. We're owned by our members, and we're solely focused on serving those member owners. And so we serve consumers and small businesses, and they can get banking services with us, deposits, loans of all kinds, but they become member owners, and they have a democratic voice in our operations, and we're focused on serving them. You know, we are headquartered here in the state. We are a state chartered and state regulated financial institution, and we have 55 branch locations, maybe a little more than that, from South Bend, Mishawaka, all the way down to New Albany. And in the Indianapolis area, around 20 financial centers here in the region. And so beyond our local community presence, I would say we're very active in supporting the community. Our team volunteers, and we support community organizations with donations. I'll talk about our annual Day of Giving. Something we do every year is we take a day off, and TCU employees volunteer around the state. And so hundreds of those employees spend time volunteering with local organizations. So that's an important part of who we are. I'm really passionate about community financial service. I think that some people have thought that community banking is fading, but I think there's a bright future for community financial service institutions, and really love helping families and business owners in their communities make a positive impact. And so I think that's what gets me up in the morning and gets me excited about serving our employees, is they're really serving families and business owners in the community. And we can be a community financial institution serving community business owners and individuals and families.
Grow your business with Wish TV's featured business directory. For less than $200 a month, be one of the limited businesses in 30 different categories, benefiting from one of the top visited websites in Indiana and Indiana's only statewide news station. Space is limited. Contact us today.
Up next on Business Equity and Opportunities, we share another great personal success story from one of our contributors. Stay with us. Each week on Business Equity and Opportunities, we like to share a success story from one of our business contributors with the hopes of inspiring entrepreneurs and small business owners to keep following their dreams.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities Success Story.
This week, we salute the winners of the Indiana Minority Business Magazine Champions of Diversity Awards. We talked with the president and CEO, Robert Chicago.
Champions of Diversity Awards is our 16th year having this award. So imagine 16 years ago, before COVID, before the racial justice and all this thing, we've been recognizing people in the community doing great things. Companies like Lilly doing great things. Companies and just people in general doing great things in a community and doing stuff. So us giving them light and shine of the great things they're doing. We noticed that it was a lot of companies and people that's doing great things, but they weren't getting the recognition or the branding that they need to showcase what they're doing. I have a committee of about 10. This year we had about 175 applicants, so we narrow it down and go through all of that and just go by just certain categories of business, of what diversity means to you. How have you benefit being in your position and things like that? How have you helped lead the cause? So it's a variety of questions, and it's a long process. Each year, even this year, I have past winners, past business that have been coming for 16 years. So imagine, they started 16 years ago. We still have some of those same people, same companies still coming. So, and plus throughout the year, we keep them engaged by writing stories about them, just doing certain things to keep them engaged with doing this. Just imagine the recorder being here 127 years, and the business magazine being here 20 years. So it's important for us to showcase these business. So not just people in Indiana can see it, because our magazine goes statewide. Our newspaper, our digital goes nationally. So to me, showcasing these business doing certain things. For instance, Lilly Company, that racial justice pledge, they have triple spin in the minority community doing certain things. To me, things like that is key to showcasing. The climate of minority business, small business doing certain things, to me, we're in a movement. And I say that to say the movement mean, I haven't, I've been in the military, I've been around the world, travel places and did certain things, but I haven't seen things where businesses are being intentional about helping their neighbor, doing certain things, and also helping certain businesses grow. By helping certain businesses grow, you also help the business owner, but you're also helping the community and resources. Our paper is the community. The recorder is the community. For a 127 year. I tell people the recorder is bigger than me. It's bigger than the owners XYZ, but we are the community. We represent the community. We speak for the community. We have a motto: we're the voice for the voiceless, and I believe that. In January 13th at 5:30, we're having our 16th annual Champions of Diversity Award at the Marriott at 350 West Maryland Street. It's going to be a sighting. We're nominating 16 companies and business this year, and it's awesome. I'm excited to collaborate, partner with Wish TV, the Business Opportunity Show, to highlight some of these champions. Because to me, I tell people collaboration and doing things together for one common cause, it shows the power of us working together. So I'm appreciative, and I appreciate them stepping up, asking me to even how can they help us highlight these winners.
Thanks for joining us for this morning's episode of Business Equity and Opportunities. Certainly hope you found our content helpful, interesting, inspiring, You can find more information about the work that we do on our website. It's beoshow.com. We also always include tips on getting started, how to access capital, run your business day to day, a look at the week in business, what's happening, and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. And we also always share a success story from the business world for inspiration. We hope you'll join us again next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock here on Wish TV for more information about small business as we champion the entrepreneurial spirit and promote equity, diversity, and opportunities. You can also always stream the show live through wishtv.com and find content from all of our previous shows to share on demand with friends or business partners anytime at beoshow.com. For even more, listen to and subscribe to our BE&O podcast, part of the All Indiana Podcast Network, and be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. If you have any questions, we want to hear them. If you'd like to be part of our show, please send us an email. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We always love hearing from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for watching. For now, stay tuned. Countdown to Kickoff is coming up next.
Business, Equity, and Opportunities is made possible by Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Grow your business with Wish TV's featured business directory. For less than $200 a month, be one of the limited businesses in 30 different categories, benefiting from one of the top visited websites in Indiana and Indiana's only statewide news station. Space is limited. Contact us today.